Now that we have examined the default nodes, let's create some of our own. We'll start with the Chit Chat nodes. To refresh our memory, we'll click on Intents and take a look. As you might recall, in previous videos, we defined goodbyes, thank you, and greetings Chit Chat intents. We have the intents, which means that Watson can recognize the user intent to greet us, thank us, or leave the conversation. What we now need is the ability to reply to the user. Let's resume our chat-first development approach. When we open the Try It Out panel, we are greeted by the chatbot thanks to the welcome node. We're polite people, so let's see what happens when we reply hi. The right intent is detected, but we don't have a node to handle it. So we hit the default anything else node. And we're told that the chatbot couldn't understand us, which is not what we want. Let's click on dialog and then click on the add node button. An empty node is created. We select it in order to edit its properties. We can give it the name greetings, type in the greetings condition, and then define a response. I like to keep the users on track, so we are essentially going to restate the prompt. But we can't just copy and paste it. That would be quite, for lack of better words, robotic. So we might type in something like, hi, I'm here to help. Feel free to ask me for flower recommendations, and maybe between brackets, or delivery information. We hit enter and test again. This time we have a node to handle the greetings intent, so the chatbot can correctly respond to us. Now let's try the thank you intent by typing in thanks. Same scenario as before. Watson understands the intent, but we haven't told it what to do with it. Let's add a node to handle thank yous. Since the anything else node was automatically selected for us, the add node button placed the empty node below it. But we don't want any node below the anything else fallback node. Not a problem. We can click on the three dots and then select move. We can then select the anything else node and choose whether we want this new node to become its child node or place it above or below it. In this case, we want the node to be moved above. As we did before, we'll add a name, thank you, a condition, thank you. Since it's possible that the user will thank us multiple times during a conversation, it's always good to introduce some variations in the responses. We can add you're welcome, you're very welcome, anytime, I'm glad I could help, no problem, and to add a little bit of cheekiness, no problemo, which by the way, it's slang and not proper Spanish or Italian. Don't forget that you should always tailor your responses to your audience. If you're building a chatbot for a funeral home, perhaps avoiding such a casual attitude is more in order. If it's for college students on campus, you can have more fun in your responses. For good measure, let's set it to random so that the responses are provided randomly and not in the sequence we specified. This time, when we test again, we get I'm glad I could help. Good. But wait a second, something strange happened. As you can see, the node we created looks blank. Did we just lose all our work? Let's close the node and test again with thank you. The fact that it worked tells us that the information was not lost. It's just a glitch in the UI. We can refresh the page and see that it's all good. I wanted to show you this in the unlikely event that it happens to you. So if it does, don't panic, simply close the node and then refresh the page. Let's open the Try It Out panel and test again the first two Chit Chat nodes. We type I, and it works as expected. Thank you works too. Good. Typing in something nonsensical still gives us the right response as well. And finally, let's try a goodbye. For example, okay, bye, fails to give us the right response. So let's add a note for that. You know the drill by now. We call it goodbyes, type the pound symbol, and select the intent. By the way, this way of entering it rather than typing it in is very handy when you have many intents and don't remember the exact name. We can then type in 3 responses to say goodbye to the user. The 3 responses offer a variation of the same concept. It makes sense to thank the user for spending time chatting with our chatbot, and we want to wish them a great day, of course. We test again, and this time we get the right response. We didn't set the responses to random, so they are returned to us in a sequential manner. If we type in OK bye, we get the second response this time. If we trigger the goodbyes intent again with the goodbye, the third response is provided to us. If we enter yet another goodbye, the cycle of response will restart from the beginning with "Thank you for chatting with me today, have a wonderful day." Let's test our chatbot once more from the top. We read the prompt and reply back hello. The greetings intent is detected, and therefore the greetings node is executed. We get its response. We type in thanks and receive the right response again. Now let's try something else. It's irrelevant, and therefore we're told that the chatbot doesn't know what to do about it. Finally, let's type in no, bye. We correctly get a goodbye message. Notice that the response type's negative entity value is also detected, but we don't use it for our node, so it doesn't really matter here. Notice something else. The order of these three chit-chat nodes we just defined doesn't matter. However, there are situations in which you want to think harder about the order of your nodes. Typically, you want to have nodes with more restricted conditions above the more general ones, to prevent general nodes from overshadowing the more specific ones. In our case, we simply went with the order of likely execution. The user might greet the bot, thank it, and eventually leave. In our particular scenario, however, there are no dependencies or overlapping of scope between the nodes, so we could reverse the order entirely and everything will still work fine. In the next video, we'll start dealing with domain-specific nodes, starting with cases which are simple to handle.